One of the easiest, and in my opinion, the laziest takes is that Nebraska sucked for the last 5 years. The record is what it is. You can look at it, the number of wins and losses, but that doesn't tell the whole tale. And I have felt in my stomach for a while now that we should talk about how good and competitive Nebraska actually was. And there are ways to statistically look at that. But you have to go deep. You have to look at the data. And you have to set aside your biases and your emotions. And that's exactly what I did. So in this video, we're going to talk about how close Nebraska was to being not just a winning team, but potentially going to bowl games. And is close to doing that now, turning things around. And not because I hope, and not because I'm emotionally attached to the team, but because it's what the data suggests. This data shows the number of games won by teams in the Big Ten since 2018. It includes the margin of loss, percentage of games lost by one score or less, and percentage of games lost by a field goal or less. Nebraska's got some interesting characteristics. The Cornhuskers lost games by an average of only 11.68 points over the last 5 seasons, which is the second lowest margin of loss in the Big Ten. However, Nebraska lost a very high percentage of games by one score or less, at 67.6%. This is the second highest percentage in the Big Ten, and it means Nebraska was competitive in most losses. Now, Nebraska also lost a high percentage of games by a field goal or less, at 24.3%. This tells you Nebraska was in close games where a single player mistake was the reason for the loss. Now, if Nebraska won even half the games they lost by one score or less, their win total over the last 5 seasons would increase from 23 to 30. Now, this would still be a low number of wins compared to other Big Ten teams, but would represent a big improvement for the program. It was a gut-wrenching reality for Nebraska fans over the past 5 seasons. Despite losing games by only 11.68 points, they've lost an astounding 67.6% of their games by just one score or less. It's a heartbreaking pattern of close losses that haunted the team and loyal fan base. However, there's hope. If Nebraska can turn these close losses into wins, they could add 50% more wins, and that's a promising outlook for a team that struggled to find success in recent years. A deeper look shows no clear correlation between overall wins and the percentage of games lost by one score or less. Because even some of the teams with the most wins still lost a high percentage of games by one score or less, and this suggests winning more games is important, but it's the close games that matter most. Nebraska's position in the Big Ten is unique. Despite losing a high percentage of games by one score or less, they managed to keep the margin of defeat relatively low. This tells you they're consistently competitive, and they've got the potential to turn those losses into wins with key adjustments. You should imagine Memorial Stadium filled to capacity with loyal and passionate fans who erupt in thunderous applause as Nebraska scores a winning touchdown in a nail-biting game. The team rushes the field, players jump with joy, and the crowd goes wild. It's a moment that eluded Nebraska for too long, and one within reach for 2023. Opponents should be very wary of Nebraska. The Cornhuskers are consistently competitive, loaded with talent, with the potential to turn close losses into wins, have a rich football tradition and passionate fan base, and a new coaching staff with a proven track record. Nebraska should not be underestimated and could very well beat their opponents any given Saturday in 2023. Well, to me, there's no speculation at all. Nebraska was a better team than their record reflected. And in the moment, as fans, it's easy to get caught up in the win-loss record. I understand that. And I told you last year that no matter what happened after the Oklahoma game, that was the bottom. And the data says that had we been looking at the time, we would have been more hopeful than we were. And I'm certainly hopeful now. And I believe if Matt Rule and his coaching staff can just do some tiny thing, make some minor changes with the talent they've got, a bowl game is in the cards for 2023. But I think Nebraska's back, and I think that Nebraska wasn't really as far away as we thought. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Hit the button and ring the bell and, put your hands on the thing that you twist to let YouTube know or wherever you're watching this that you want to see more of my videos. And as always, Go Big Red, and I'll see you next video.